that inside a positive classroom, students will be sitting with a different mind, that they will be having some positive attitudes towards anything happening inside the classroom. That is, they will be exhibiting high level of engagement. They will be always motivated and curious to learn, excited and very much joyful about the learning activities happening inside the classroom. So the teacher must have at least a fundamental understanding regarding the emotional life of the student. And she must know that learning is not at all a pure cognitive activity. At least during the first few weeks of academic year, we must make some deliberate effort to build some positive attitude regarding anything happening inside the classroom. Today's topic, it is about a positive classroom. How positive classroom is a must, or how positive classroom helps to build the right kind of attitude among our students, and how it enhances the thinking skills. That is 21st, especially the 21st century needed thinking skills. We will be discussing about it. So let me share the PPT first of all. This is a vast topic, that is attitude and thinking skills, attitude formation and thinking skills, and what is its connection to the positive classroom. But I am given only 45 minutes and I will try to comprise almost all the important points within the stipulated time. So hold on. That is positive classroom for thinking and attitude development in students. First of all, what do you think about the positive classroom? I would like this to be an interactive session, but due to lack of time, I think that discussion we will be conducting after this presentation. Regarding the positive classroom, I will say that inside a positive classroom, students will be sitting with a different mind, that they will be having some positive attitudes towards anything happening inside the classroom. That is, they will be exhibiting high level of engagement. They will be always motivated and curious to learn, excited and very much joyful about the learning activities happening inside the classroom. And they will be feeling free, secure, and they will not be ashamed of asking questions. That is, freedom of thinking will be there. And they are capable of connecting what is happening inside the classroom. They find some connection between the activities happening inside the classroom and in their life. They are so much excited about the things that are happening inside the classroom, because they have a warm relationship with their teacher, will be having warm relationship with their teacher. They feel free to interact with their teachers and as well as with the friends, and they feel respected, honored, and their individuality, their individual capability, everything is respected and recognized and acknowledged in that atmosphere of the classroom. That is, when they, in the morning, when they wake up, they have that feeling that yes, goes good, let us go to school. That is, that kind of excitement and joy is providing day-to-day learning experience to them. These are some distinct characteristics or salient features of a positive classroom. And this is the definition given by the brain sciences about the positive classroom. A classroom in which all the interactions are carefully carved in order to safeguard that sense of joy and excitement of learning at any cost. And brain sciences say that positivity is essential for the learning to happen. That is, only if the student's brain is a positive mental state, learning will happen. And they have concrete evidence to put forward for that, how learning is taken, because we can look into the process or each and every moment happening inside the brain of the student while learning is taking place actually. So in order to create a positive classroom, you must think about, when we say about a positive classroom, this positive, the word positive is referring to the mental state, specifically emotional state of the student. That is, a teacher who is trying to create a positive classroom means that she is attending to the emotional state or mental state of feelings of her students. So the teacher must have at least a fundamental understanding regarding the emotional life of the student. And she must know that learning is not at all a pure cognitive activity. Emotion of the student, emotional state or feelings of the students play a major role in the activity called learning. Because if the student is stressed out, if he is bored, if he is not feeling any kind of interest, and there is some traumatic memories that is in his mind, learning cannot happen. And you see that fundamentally our task as teachers is to create a positive attitude in the mind of the student, or even if not a positive, right attitude in the minds of the students about the activities happening inside the classroom as well as in the school. And anything under the sky, they must have right attitude when they leave the school after the school education. This is one of the major objectives or purpose of education. So as teachers, we must have fundamental understanding regarding the concept of attitude. What are the salient features of this concept? You must know that attitude is actually a hypothetical construct. We cannot observe the attitude of the students directly. But what we do as teachers, we just infer the attitude of the student from his behavior. These are the basic facts about the attitude. And the attitudes that a student carry is learned. All his attitude, no student or no child is born with some attitude. That is, it is not, genetic role is not there in the formation of attitude. For the same reason, at any stage of their life, we can change or shape or influence the attitudes of the students. And my dear friends, this is the phrase I would like to put in front of you, that I would like to emphasize while explaining the concept of attitude. Attitude is an evaluative response. That is, there is a basic tendency of a human mind to evaluate any stimuli that come along his way. That he on a daily basis when he confront with or interact with the persons, situations, or experience, whatever it might be. We knowingly or unknowingly evaluate everything. And when we evaluate positively, we are generating or creating a positive. That is, we spend some time with a person and we feel happy and joyful, and positive feelings are happening inside us, means that we are likely to have a positive attitude towards that person. So basically, it is an evaluative responses that the students create inside the classroom. That is a stimuli, whatever it might be. It might be an object, it might be a person, it might be the presence of the teacher, or it might be the way she teaches, or it might be his or her experiences with the fellow students, whatever it might be. He will be having positive or negative attitude. And this attitude influences his behavior. That is, we cannot deny as teachers that is classroom behavior is an expression of his basic attitudes about this classroom events. That is, we cannot deny this connection as teachers. That is, behind any behavior, there will be some attitude very much alive, influencing the behavior. We must be capable of recognizing that. That is, when we observe the behavior of a student, we see what the student is doing. That is, behavior of the student reveals what the student is doing. But it does not explain why the student is behaving in that way. We have to find it out. That is, when we ask ourselves why my student or my child is behaving in a certain way, we can find some attitude or beliefs or values which has been instilled in the child, which is operating very alive, very actively influencing the behavior of the children. So, you know that, for example, I am giving putting an example in order to explain the situation. As a student is having a favorable attitude towards smoke, that is, she is indulging in smoking. On probing into the incident, the teacher finds that the student have a peculiar attitude towards the smoking. Teacher asks why you are indulging in smoking. She says that when she thinks that when she smokes, she will be accepted and liked by her friends. This is the attitude. That is, smoking improves or increases her status or prestige among her friends. This is the attitude that she carries about smoking. Then what the teacher, the respect that is the teacher connected with this event is supposed to do is teacher has to somehow change the attitude of the student. And what teacher does is the substitute the current attitude with another attitude. That is, student needs recognition and acceptance among the friends. So teacher, what does teacher do? That is, teacher created certain situations in which a student is capable of expressing whatever talent she or she has. Perhaps a student might be having this talent of singing or in sports or drawing or speaking, whatever it might be. That is, the teacher created certain situations in which a student can express or showcase her whatever potentials that she has. And her prestige or status among the other fellow students has increased. That is what I wanted to say, is that whenever we are dealing with any unacceptable behavior of our students, we must be capable of identifying the attitude or beliefs operating behind it. And we must focus on working on the attitude rather than on the behavior. Attack the attitude or try to shape or influence the attitude. That is, each attitude student carries, whatever it might be, positive attitude, negative attitude, whatever it might be. Each attitude will be having three components actually. That is, for example, regarding ice cream. Ice cream. Ice cream is good. I say that ice cream is good. This is the cognitive component of my attitude towards the ice cream. When I say I like the ice cream, it is the affective component. That is, I am expressing my feeling whenever I think of or when I see the ice cream. That is, I like the ice cream. This is the affective component. I eat the ice cream on every weekend. That is a behavioral component of that attitude. As teachers, we must work if we want to influence the attitude of a student or shape the attitude of a student, we must mark on the first two components. That is cognitive component and affective component. All on a sudden, do not attack the behavioral component. It is not going to work actually. Do not try to correct the behavior, but work on the cognitive and affective component of each attitude. And attitude we have to create at least during the first few weeks of academic year. We must make some deliberate effort to build some positive attitude regarding anything happening inside the classroom, whether it is a teacher-student interaction or whether it is various learning activities, whether it is about disciplinary rules, whatever it might be. We must strive to create a positive attitude towards the things happening inside the classroom, because it is the attitude which creates readiness inside the student. As a student who is not having learning readiness or positive attitude, affirmative attitude towards the learning process, is not going to carry his learning works smoothly throughout the year. We cannot motivate a student who is not having a positive attitude towards learning. So it's a fundamental duty of us to create a positive attitude, not about learning itself, but about the life or as a whole. We must be able to. Then you see that we are not the only persons who influence the attitude formation. Of course, all these factors work together in the formation of attitudes. Friends, peers, family, teachers, coaches, past experience, and media. And so many factors are in place. That is, the culture influence the attitude formation. And some social norms influence the attitude formation. And of all these factors, recently we can see that the media influence of the media is very intense, very huge in attitude formation of the students about many things happening around him, whether it is about the about learning, whether it is about the appearing for the examination, whether it is about discipline, or whether it is about sexuality, whatever it might be. Influence of the media is huge. But never be hopeless. That is, there are so many teachers who think that it is beyond their capacity to frame or to shape or influence the attitude of the students. It's not like that. We can. We must trust our capability. That is little by little, and if we are consistent in our attempts, we can shape and we can influence whatever attitude the student is having, especially during the first years of his school life. So we must have some fundamental understanding regarding the attitude formation. There are many psychological principles or psychological theories regarding the attitude formation. All these theories explain how these attitudes are formed inside the mind of the student and how it influences his behavior. So there is no time to explain all the theories here, but I will be focusing on first two things. That is, it is an experience. When a child goes through a negative experience, he is likely to have a negative attitude about the things involved in it. That is direct experience, attitude formed by direct experience. It will be strong, and it will not be easy to change such attitudes, direct experience. But when we speak about experience, you must know that observing the experience of others. I know a girl. She is having a negative attitude towards marriage because her parents were always in a relationship issues. I mean, they were a conflict among this her father her parents. They always there was the restless situation in his home in her home. So she generated a negative attitude towards the marital relationship. That is, direct and indirect experiences can play a great role in the formation of attitude, actually. And the second one is need satisfaction. Dear friends, you must know that all the students, every student sitting in front of you, have some fundamental basic psychological needs. That is, basic psychological need theory says that there are three basic psychological needs which must be satisfied in order to have a well-balanced mental life. The first one is need for autonomy. Second one is need for competence. Third one is need for relatedness. There is a need for autonomy means that we, all of us, not only students, all human beings want to have control over their own life. They want to live the life they want, they wish. We do not want to be controlled by anybody else. That is, we wanted to have full control of full freedom over our life. We want to have some personal decisions, and we wanted to be the author of our own life. This is the need for autonomy. And this need for autonomy and related desire for freedom and independence reaches at its peak when the student reaches adolescent. And this need must be satisfied in order to move through the different developmental phases. And the second need is need for competence. Each and every human being have that basic need to prove himself to the world outside. That is, I can do this. I can accomplish such a task. I am competent in learning. I am competent in sports. That is, I wanted to prove to the world I am I am a worthwhile human being. This need is the basic psychological need. And the third one is the relatedness. That is, all human beings have that basic drive to form enduring, emotionally fulfilling or loving relationship with the other fellow human beings. And these three basic psychology, nobody can escape from their influence. And what is its connection with the attitude formation? My dear friends, you must know that whenever a person or an event or a situation is capable of satisfying any of our psychological needs, we are likely to have a positive attitude towards that person, positive attitude towards that event, whatever it might be. So psychological need satisfaction has a clear role in the attitude formation. That is why certain students, when they grow up, their need for autonomy becomes, that is, they need freedom. That is when they reach, especially when they reaches adolescent phase of development, they start developing highly positive attitude towards their peer group, and they start developing a negative attitude towards their parents, because parents are hurting their freedom. But inside the peer group, they can have full amount of autonomy, that is full level of autonomy and competence, and everything is allowed or permitted inside the peer circle. So, and there are so many theories, and if you are interested in influencing the attitude of your students, you must delve deep into these theories. These theories will reveal the mechanism, the real mechanism behind the attitude formation. Anyway, I am specifying here about how to inculcate right attitude towards learning. This is our concern as teachers, how we can inculcate a right mentality or right way of perceiving the things happening inside the classroom. That is how classroom activities will help to generate a right attitude towards learning. And this is a concern to each and every teacher. I know that. And never think that by advising or persuading, that is, you must learn carefully, you must work hard, you must learn regularly, you must do the homework. Otherwise, you are going to succeed in the examination. Otherwise, you are going to suffer like this. No, no amount of advice can help to create or to generate right attitude towards learning. We must be able to create some situations or ambience inside the classroom so that the right attitude towards learning can be developed in the students. The first thing is explain whys. That is, whatever learning activities that you are designing, whatever learning that activities that you are creating inside the classroom, student must be capable of explaining the why. Why am I doing this? He must be capable of finding a meaning and purpose in each and every learning activities. At least he must be capable of finding a connection with his life. The learning activities that he must find a connection with his day-to-day life. That is classroom teaching, that is learning taking place inside the classroom. Must have some connection with the experiences that happening or occurring outside the classroom as well. Otherwise, you cannot trigger a positive attitude. Otherwise, he will not accept the learning activities. He cannot enjoy. At least you must be capable of finding some connection with what he has learned in the past. There is some sort of meaning or some sort of connection with the life or with the goal that he has in mind. You must be capable of explaining the why. Why am I learning? With the help of illustrations and examples, you must be capable of attaining this target. That is, explain the why. Why am I learning? And also demonstrate. That is, I'm a mathematics teacher. I am very much passionate about my subject. I have positive attitude towards my subject. How can I communicate this positive attitude to my students? I must demonstrate it while solving the problems or demonstrating the problem solving on the whiteboard. That's while solving the problem. My face expression, my eyes, my gestures, and my body posture, and my voice, and the tone of my voice, and my language, everything must exude the kind of joy and excitement I am feeling That the student must be capable of sensing the positive attitude, my passion. I must be able to then, and I must model. I must be a model for him to learn how to learn the subject. That is, I must refer to the things outside the textbook in order to demonstrate that I am a dedicated lifelong learner towards this subject. That is my passion towards the subject. I must be capable of communicating to him with the help of my personality. I will say not through the words, but the things I demonstrate inside the classroom must be capable of communicating my passion and my excitement and my attitude towards the subject. And another thing is disrupt the myths. So many students are carrying many myths or wrong understanding or misunderstandings, misconceptions regarding learning. For example, I am teaching in 12th standard. There are so many boys nowadays. They in my classroom reach so many boys who firmly believes that learning is something that they must do just 2 or 3 weeks before the examination. That is enough. This is their conclusion. And how could I change this attitude of theirs? You might be thinking that this is a wrong attitude that they are having towards learning. I just called 10 boys and I instructed to them with their consent. I invited them to engage in some experiment. I told these boys they are below average students and average students are there. I told them, yes, you need not learn anything. Of course, you need not learn it until the exam comes. But only one subject you learn, my subject. And I made sure that they are learning with the help of the parents. I made sure that they are learning at least for 40 minutes my subject, mathematics. Only mathematics that you need to learn. And I just referred their notes and their homeworks and everything. I mentored them, 10 of them. And when the examination, that is quarterly examination came, the results were out after the vacation, that is autumn holidays, results were out. What we could observe was that their performance in all other subjects was very, very low. The score in all the subjects were very, except mathematics. In the mathematics, most of them scored 50% or more than that. And they were convinced that regular learning can have right impact on the performance. And many of them, and not all students, I will not say that all students, 10 students who participated in the experiment changed their attitude, but at least 7 of them, little by little, they entered into the disciplined way of learning, that's regular learning. And also familiarize the science of learning. Science has many things to say about the process of learning. Just let the students know about it and instill confidence and be supportive always. That is, whenever the learning is a process where students are likely to commit many errors. That is, they will be facing failures, setbacks, everything will be there. But how they deal with these failures and setbacks, which determines their confidence level and the kind of the support that we give. What kind of feedback as teachers, as parents that we give to their errors or failures that happen in their learning life matters a lot. That is, follow the best rules for maintaining interest in learning. This is another thing. If you observe all these things, you can create a right attitude. When we speak about the best rules that teachers has to follow inside the classroom in order to create a positive attitude towards the learning activities inside the taking place inside the classroom. Just observe the video games, how the students are spending time in video games. They will be spending you can see that children will be spending from morning to evening in the video games. They don't need any food. They don't want even to sleep. They are glued to these video games from morning to evening. What causes it? There is video game is designed. Video games are designed in such a way that certain salient features are there. The first one is student knows or child knows what he has to attain, what is the target he has to reach. And he is very much clear about the path along which path he or she has to move in order to reach the goal. There is clarity regarding the goal, and the clarity regarding the path towards it is clear to him. And the second one is there is achievable challenges. For students, in order to learn, challenges are needed. Because in video games, you can see there will be some challenges incorporated into the design of the video games. And after overcoming or resolving a challenge, the student will be getting some scores. The player will be getting some scores. So it is excited. That is only after resolving a challenge, the student gets that sense of competence that I can do this. I can. That feeling, that confidence building measure, the building things comes from the challenges, resolving the challenges. Challenges are needed, not too high challenges, too low challenges, but optimal challenges, that is achievable challenges are needed. It will boost his confidence when he resolve each challenge. That is how we maintain motivation in learning. And in video game, you can see that at each step, student knows where he is. That is, he is provided feedback at any step of the video game. Actually. And this feedback is given in such a way that it does not hurt the self-esteem of the student. But it is communicating. This feedback will be communicating to the player or video game, the student who is playing, communicating that what is his score now, what he has achieved, and what he has to do further in order to move forward. If you create these situations inside your classroom, the students will be having a positive attitude actually. And you must know that it is the attitude within the framework of the attitude, all the attitude and beliefs, all the thinking process happen. As we are going to discuss about the thinking skills, how to help the student to generate or to develop some thinking skills that is needed to be successful in this 21st century. That is, our thinking is highly influenced by attitude. Because if I am having some negative attitude towards a person or towards an event, what happens? My thinking will be dominated by negative thoughts. It is a fact. So we conduct all the thinking process inside the box created by our beliefs, values, and attitudes. So students, we must know a student can learn with or without thinking. It is a fact about learning. Never think that all the students who are learning is engaging in right kind of thinking. It is the Bloom's taxonomy that we use for our reference. And Bloom's taxonomy is putting forward lower order cognitive skills and higher order cognitive skills. But we must understand, learning without a thought is a labor of lost. It is a waste of time. When the student is making rote learning, or student is just preparing for the examination, in order to crack the examination, he learns, he will not be thinking. That is, deep learning will not be taking place there. That is, as teachers, we are supposed to teach the students how to think, not what to think. It was the British system, that is a British system of education, gave our Indian brains to what to think. They said you have to think such and such a thing, that's enough. And that kind of education is enough for you, Britishers say. But now, after the implementation of NEP, new education policy and all that, we can see that our aim of education, prime aim of education is to help the student to learn how to learn. In order to help the student to learn how to learn, we must focus on teaching the student to how to think, actually. For that, we must have fundamental understanding about these things. That is, what is the difference between thinking and thinking skills? Have you thought about these two phrases, thinking and thinking skills? Thinking is something that every educated, uneducated, and even not so intellectual. So even the people with the learning disabilities or intellectual capacity, somebody with the intellectual deficiencies, everybody does thinking. If you are a human being, you will be indulging in, your mind will be indulging in some sort of thinking. Let's say each and every time it is making permutations and combinations of different experiences, different memories, and different thoughts. But thinking skills, what is a thinking skill? That is, thinking skill is that capacity that we have. It is a human capacity for what? In order to direct. That is, we must make some effort consciously if we are directing our thinking. Let me repeat, consciously, we are directing our thinking in order to achieve certain purposes. That is, we are remembering something, we are planning something, we are solving problems, and making decisions means that we are considering our thinking process or taking our thinking process in a conscious way. And inside the classroom that we are doing it. That is, we give the students, we put the student in various learning situations, and we ask the student, what do you understand? Please compare this and this, and connect this learning, this what you learned with your experience in the past. And we give so many tasks, learning tasks inside the classroom. That is, we are stimulating the brains of the students in order to make use of this basic capacity to consciously influence his thinking process. This is happening, thinking when it comes to thinking skills. But to speak about thinking skills in a detailed way, it is not possible for at least for the time being. So I am focusing on two styles of thinking or two thinking skills, which is very much needed in today's world. Because in this 21st century, this job market is looking for the people or professionals who are capable of executing critical thinking and creative thinking. If you are well versed in creative thinking, you will be capable of generating new ideas. If you are well versed in critical thinking, you will be capable of analyzing, evaluating, reasoning. That is, if you have these two thinking capacities or thinking skills in you, critical thinking and creative thinking, you can solve many life situations, especially in the professional field, and you can make best decisions whenever you are confronted with struggles or challenges. So people are looking for the students or individuals who are having this critical thinking skill in this 21st century. So let us think about critical thinking critically. Critical thinking is something, it's a self-directed process by which we take deliberate steps. That is, we approach our own understanding about anything. That is, I have some understanding regarding something in this, something about something, any conceptual understanding is there. I'm not satisfied with it. I I approach it is with this from its pros and cons. It is self-driven. You cannot teach a student critical thinking directly, but you can only, as a teacher, you can only create some experience or create some situations inside the classroom by which students this basic skill for critical thinking can be stimulated, and if we create so many situations, he may develop this as a skill, critical thinking skill. That is, critical thinking is reasonable, reflective thinking. That is, we must be thinking about our own thinking as well. That is, we must be critical about our own conclusions and beliefs as well. Critical thinking is thinking about your thinking while you are thinking. That is, it is a metacognitive process as well. That is, everybody inside the classroom, everybody is thinking in some direction. But A student has so many questions about these conclusions and beliefs of others, means that he is thinking critically. That is, it is thinking that analyzes thinking, our own thinking, assess thinking. It is approaching our own beliefs, our own conclusions, our own understanding with some questions. With some questions, that is, we are questioning our own understanding, conceptual, whatever it might be. It is disciplined, self-guided thinking, and thinking that combats. For example, I will say that it's not finally. What about the concept of the critical thinking? While explaining it, I have to say that this is the sign or symbol of educated mind. An educated person will be always critical about the things happening around him. And this kind of thinking is needed for scientific spirit. This is a world of science. Everything must be validated by the science. Means that you must have that capacity to think critically about anything anything in your. And I wanted to explain more about this critical thinking, but there is not much time. But this thing I want to put forward, that is, in what ambience this critical thinking is likely to develop. That is, what kind of atmosphere you have to create inside the classroom in order to help the student to develop a critical thinking. Please understand that critical thinking will not develop if there is a special ambience inside your classroom. That is, student must feel free to think loud, to ask questions. That is, his self-esteem must not be hurt by if he commits errors. There is freedom of thinking he must be capable of experiencing inside the classroom. That is, acknowledge the needs of the student. Only if the student feels safe, only if the student feels that his need for emotional, intellectual, social, his need for autonomy, his need for competence and relatedness are satisfied, his ability to think critically will be stimulated. If he is not feeling feeling that much free inside the classroom and the classroom environment, he will not be capable of asking questions or challenging the conclusions. So ensure the freedom of thinking. There should not be any right thinking or wrong thinking. Teacher must not say your thinking is wrong and his thinking is right. No, a classroom which want to inculcate the habit of critical thinking should not have any right thinking or wrong thinking, only thinking. This atmosphere, this ambience must be this freedom of expression should be there inside the classroom actually. And growth mindset should be instilled in the student. Some students are not feeling worth that self-worth is lacking inside the student. They are not confident about their capacities or basic abilities. There are so many students who believe that their mathematical skills are their brain is not good for maths. So such notions must be disrupted with the help of situations or experiences. Students must give the idea that if they are ready to invest some effort and energy, they can expand, they can improve their whatever intellectual capacity they want. And also teacher must exercise empathy. Then only critical thinking can. This atmosphere must be created inside the classroom. Also, design lesson plans that stimulate thinking. Ask thought-provoking questions. Questions are the best tool to stimulate critical thinking. A student, we give a paragraph on, we display a paragraph from a literature. I mean, any story or any drama, we display a paragraph. And we ask the student, what do you understand from that? What is your conclusion? And after that, we challenge his understanding. That is, we provide a cognitive conflict. Why did you say like that? How do you know that? Why? That is, questions are the best method in order to stimulate and develop critical thinking. Ask them to articulate what they understood. Students, most of them sometimes understand everything, but they do not know how to articulate and connect with the personal experience of the students. And summarizing creatively. This is the best method for generating or creating critical thinking. There are so many ways to stimulate and also have a right understanding regarding the barriers to critical thinking. I have so many examples, that is 20 tools are with me in order to help you to develop a critical thinking in your students. For example, you ask the students, name 10 things you cannot clean. That is, it is not a usual question. Another question is, what if the price of the petrol was immediately doubled? What if questions? And there are so many things I am just putting in front of that is how many ways can you catch a fish? Variations. These little exercises will help to stimulate various thinking skills, actually predict how school will operate in 20 years time. And Pacific Ocean and Grand Canyon, what are the things in common for them? The science and the social science teachers can try. And also invent an eggshell peeler for a boiled egg. So there are so many ways we can stimulate and develop it. You are trying to catch a mouse. You have a broom, a bucket, and tennis ball. Solve the problem by using 3 totally dissimilar objects. Problem solving. So flexibility must be permitted inside the classroom atmosphere in order to stimulate the critical thinking. But you must know the facts. We are not that the classroom is the only place where critical thinking possibilities are there, and critical thinking will be flourished. Classroom is the not only place. Any thinking capacity, any thinking skills can be developed if there is all these elements are present in the life of the student. That is, he must have enriched experiences should be there. I say in the school as well as in the home, there is so many enriching experiences should be the variety of experience must get, and he must have a positive attitude towards learning and knowing, and that is anything under that is he must have interest in learning. That is, it is important that he develop his thinking skills. That kind of attitude should be there. And his beliefs must not be too rigid. Too rigid beliefs often works as a hindrance for thinking skills to develop and flourish. And self-regulation capacities, discipline, and good habits should be there. If a student is a good reader, a student daily watches news, student observes what is happening around him, his thinking skills will be very good, and that is it will be at a high level. A high order thinking will be developed very soon, and a supportive system should be there. That is all kinds of thinking. That is thinking must be supported whenever it is critical. That is when the student is making or trespassing the barriers of the thinking. That's we have some social norms. So if he is trying to challenge some social established norms and beliefs, we must have an empathetic and supportive attitude towards the student. So right environment should be created. And finally, above all, we are thinking with our brain. If the brain is not healthy, for example, there's a student who is consuming this, what we say that this trans fat, that's the food containing too much trans fat. That is they will be purchasing, and they will be that's what we say fast food. Yes, consuming too much fast food. The communication different in the different regions of the brain will be slowed down. This is one of the brain facts from the brain sciences that has been recently released. That is, you are consuming food which is containing so many trans fats, your communications in different regions of the brains will be slowed down. It will affect your thinking capacity and development of thinking skills as well. And in order to protect or sustain the health of the brain, sleep, exercise, and exposure to experience, and nutritious food, vitamins and minerals, and stress management of management capacities. And above all, some spiritual dimension will be helpful. That is, students must be engaging, those students who are engaging in daily spiritual activities, whether it is yoga or meditation or whatever it might be, or anything related to religious activities, is found to be very much, their brain is found to be very active and fresh while engaged in learning as well. So these are the things I could relate to you.
There's a question in the chat box. What should come first for the child in the classroom, attitude or thinking skills?
Attitude, definitely it is attitude, because we must prepare the mind first. At least I will say that during the first weeks of academic year, we must focus on building right kind of attitude. That is by virtue of your communication with the with the student, or how you interact with the student, how you arrange the learning activities. You must be careful at least during the first weeks. That is once a positive attitude. That is first impression that they are having about the school and classroom matters a lot. We can build upon that once there is a positive attitude towards it. Because thinking skills, as I explained, thinking skill means that we have to exert some effort. Student must be ready to exert some effort in order to solve a problem, in order to analyze something that is involved in learning activity. Means that there must be a certain level of readiness, and this right attitude towards the learning provides this readiness. So attitude formation is about whether the student is liking or disliking you and your subject and your teaching and other things happening inside the class. So give him create a situation so that he will be having positive attitude about the classroom in general. That's the point. The attitude must come first.
Thank you, ma'am, for that. We have another question here. How to deal with the diversity of intelligences in students and different types of thinking and attitude?
Yes, we are supposed to have a holistic approach in which individual differences is respected. There is a diversity of intelligence. That is, somebody is having this kind of that is music intelligence is predominant, and the Guildford's theory of intelligence says that is why in national education policy is always envisaging multidisciplinary education. That student is will be giving enough flexibility in order to choose the subjects that they can learn. So at present in common schools, we do not have that opportunity to cater to the diversity in intellectual needs actually. And with the arrival or with the implementation of national education policy, I think that we will be slowly having this environment in which different intellectual capacities can be catered. I mean, that is can be enriched in among the students. And inside the classroom, we must attend to various thinking skills. It is not critical thinking and creative thinking that we discussed. This is the major things, but there are some thinking skills that can be developed with the help of various techniques. And if you want, I can conduct a session on that. That is how we can analytical thinking skills. That is in what situations or in what if we apply it, in what learning strategies or using what techniques we can develop these thinking skills. And I think I answered your question.
Thank you, ma'am, for that. We have another question here. How can we overcome the problems of emotional weakness among the children?
Emotional weakness, actually, the students, when we see emotional weakness in a student, we must understand that uh, without the help of the parent or family members, we cannot intervene. That is, emotional weakness might be a sign or symptom of something happening that is not favorable happening inside his home environment or some other reason. Emotional weakness is actually a symptom, comes if it is serious. But emotion regulation capacities or resilience building, all these things can be addressed inside the school ambience for that social emotional learning. If we nowadays there is under the Saukrida programs in Kerala schools, there is a Saukrida club in each school, and we are conducting the classes and various awareness programs. We are addressing the emotional issues, and we wanted to build the resilience of the students. That is so many activities. Outside academic programs, let the student participate and go through the meet with the challenges, and be supportive, be a mentor in developing that emotional regulation capacity. That is emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is something that we develop in a student if we have that empathetic relationship with the student. There is we must create emotional bonding with the student. And knowing one's emotions. It is in the growing phase, in the developmental phase, students will not be capable of observing their own emotions. They are becoming emotional, or why they are becoming emotional. All this psycho education we give them. The social part of social psycho education is needed. But in order to become aware of one's own emotion, to identify emotions, name the emotions, all this and inside the school, the school ambience, and that's the have so activities, so many programs in order to develop life skills in students. Nowadays, we are implementing in the school ambience, that is under the social club, or the social emotional learning program, and all that. So it is a slow and steady process if we are consistent. And there are so many activities which will help the student whom you identify as emotionally weak. But seek the help of parents too. Seek the help of parents too, and give them adequate guidance. All these things work together. If you are committed and dedicated to the cause, we can make some changes. Emotionally weak students, we can make NCC, NSS, all these programs are meant for to make to prepare the student to face the challenges of life, to be emotionally and physically and mentally strong. Make use of all these the that is for any particular concept. Yes, brainstorming is one of the techniques we make use of in order to build critical thinking capacities. That is, student will come to know the possibility of thinking. This human potential for thinking. It is a vast possibility. How far they can go with the help of their thought waves. They will know with the help of brainstorming. But brainstorming must be contained under some discipline. There is nobody involved. Brainstorming is the best method. I'd say that each and every new, I'm not sure whether you're audible, each and every new concept that we are going to introduce inside. I will say that each and every concept that you are going to introduce inside the classroom, you should start with the brainstorming, whether it is mathematics, whether it is science, whether it is literature. So regarding the brainstorm, this is what I want to answer. That's for any particular concept. I would say every concept we can introduce, I mean, with the help of the brainstorming. Ask them particular question. For example, even a concept in trigonometry, we can start with the brainstorming. What they have learned last in the past, what's the purpose of learning this, and how it is going to help. And that simple questions are needed in order to brainstorm. Yes, good. Any other question?
Thank you, ma'am, for that. We have another question here. Ma'am, is IQ fixed at the time of birth of a child?
No, never, because there is something called brain plasticity. IQ is not something fixed, but IQ is determined by genetics. Genetic influence is there, but influence is not fixed actually, because it is the interaction between the genetic potential, and experience. For example, intellectual IQ. When we speak about IQ, that is, a student is having some gene or potential for excelling in music. Suppose the gene for music is there in the student, but student is not getting any opportunity to learn music. This gene is not going to work out. This gene is not going to function. That is, environment and genetics, genetic blueprint, whatever it might be, genetic potential must work together in order to come as IQ as outcome. And you see that IQ can never be fixed just because of neuroplasticity. There is experiences that we go through, the things that we learn. Every time, that is, and until the moment of your birth, our brain is capable of making so many connections, neural connections. That is neuroplasticity. So never in your life IQ can remain fixed. It might be high at a certain stage and it might be low, like that. Never give any student that IQ is something inherited. It's a crime that we do to that students. Once the student get the feeling that my IQ is very low, everything is done. He's not going to. No, that is fixed mindset is the huge barrier for developing through the education or through learning. So never give that idea that is IQ is something fixed. Never, never.
Thank you, ma'am, for that. We have another question
Yes.
here. Soon, artificial intelligence is going to be the best friend of future children. So how do we build positive thinking without monitoring them?
Without monitoring them, positive, how do we build with
Ms. Geeta has asked
yes,
this
please
question.
repeat the question.
Soon, artificial intelligence is going to be the best friend of future children. How do we build positive thinking without monitoring them?
No. This word is very dangerous. Without monitoring. If you are a parent, if you are a teacher, it is our duty that we monitor at least the child reaches 18 years of old. At least 15 or 16. Monitoring is needed. They need it, guidance and support, whether it is with the artificial intelligence, whether it is with the internet, whatever it might be. Recently, American Psychological Association published an article regarding for the parents, and it contains 20 guidelines for the parents in order how to monitor the social media activities of your children and why they are getting addicted and all that. They say that you must reach at a level where you are capable of sharing everything that what they do inside the social media, whether it's WhatsApp, Facebook, whatever it might be. You must strike a relationship, a friendly relationship with your children, that they will be on a daily basis, they will be sharing what they did in their social media or what internet sites they have developed. And each and every parent should read that guidelines, and which means that the entire world know that we have to monitor. We have to monitor without causing them stress or any kind of difficulties. We are likely to, we are supposed to monitor them. That is positive attitude. No, they are spending their time with the various artificial intelligent AI tools and whatever it might be. There is no guarantee that these AI tools can create positive attitudes. No, never. There is these thinking skills and all these things has to be built upon the positive attitude. That is what is learning and what kind of effort is needed, what kind of discipline is needed in order to be an educated person or learned person. They must get some idea regarding that. This will not be given by any AI tools. That is a lifestyle that is needed for to be a learned person or a person with a higher order thinking levels and all that. So monitoring is always needed. We cannot replace the man with the machine. That's it.
Thank you, ma'am, for that. We'll take up one last question. Hi, ma'am. How to channelize students, especially of lower classes, towards other than study-centric activities? That is, how to inculcate a hobby or extra co-curricular activities.
Yes,
to lower class
students
students.
who Yes, some students may show some reluctance to indulge in extracurricular activities because they will be too much interested in learning and they might be avoiding. Yes, of course, you want to see your child your students indulge in extracurricular activities as well means that in national education policy, they are saying that there should not be any hard separation between the academic and non-academic subjects. They say there should not be any hard separation. That means that every student is supposed to indulge in, to have some development in the non-academic or extracurricular activities as well. That is, you want to motivate the student means that you must demonstrate that these things are important. That is, students who are indulging in these activities, that is non-curricular, extracurricular activities, must be respected, must be valued. They must be given even grades, or they must be, their assessment profile should contain. The assessment profile is coming. That is, when we implement NEP, the way of assessing a student will go a landslide shift. That is, there will be huge change in the way we assess the student capacity. There are so many indicators, so many dimensions of assessment. You must read the National Education Policy. In that, we are assessing what all extracurricular activities, what are extracurricular potentials are capable of a student developing. So this should be given an academic importance, that is extracurricular activities. It can be, and such an atmosphere will be implemented inside the school. At the same time, you can motivate by little, persuading the child and finding what is his or her natural inclination. We will be generally speaking about extracurricular activity. Identify in which area he or she is interested and create the situation or facilities for that. Every student might be having some sort of interest in him or her. Basic inclination, basic interest must be there. And slowly, with the help of, by virtue of the empathetic empathetic and warm relationship that you share with your child, you can prompt him or her into the activity, whatever you are proposing.